Like, what if today I skate off my roof and just end it all? I was thinking, I was like, I wonder if my remember that, like, not only like Lil Wayne, he was great, he was the best rapper alive, but he was, like, I wonder if my really remember me for the innovator I am.
If you were to take as little as a fleeting glance at the world of hip-hop, it'd be hard to argue that anyone has had the impact of Lil Wayne. From his pioneering flow and creativity to his early adoption of autotune and artists constantly attempting to emulate his level of output without the same degree of skill, Weezy changed everything as we know it. That said, it's safe to say that since we entered the 2010s, Wayne's career has been anything but plain sailing. And while it's good to see a prolific MC uphold his position as a GOAT contender, the nature of Weezy's journey has meant that sometimes it feels as though he's making up for lost time, lost revenue, and more alarmingly, loss of perspective. When it comes to Wayne's timelessness, it's an idea that's backed up by cold hard facts, and considering that by the time he was 21, he'd clocked in 12 years already as an MC. Progressing from what Manny Fresh termed as kid genius to Rolling Stone labeling him hip-hop's alien genius, by 2009, the Martian's early years were molded under the watchful eye of Cash Money Records. After being recruited by Brian Birdman Williams and his brother Ronald, Lil Wayne started out alongside the Hot Boys and watched his life change almost overnight. Fueled by a hunger for fame and recognition for his craft, Tunechi found himself fast-tracked from a private in the Cash Money Army to its general after Juvenile left. Where the ball had been unceremoniously tossed away, Wayne picked it up and ran with it from the minute that his 1999 solo debut album, The Block Is Hot, hit shelves, bringing Cash Money back to prominence in a way that was a sign of things to come. Whenever the label needed a blockbuster project, it was Wayne's time to shine. And when beef popped off, Tunechi would unreservedly go to bat for them, no questions asked. Looking to dismantle the idea of not only what a southern rapper could be, but what distribution in hip-hop sounded like, his illustrious mixtape run that began with 2003's The Drought, which brought the legendary Dedication series before arguably ending with 2009's No Ceilings, allowed him to deviate from the major label blueprint. But before he'd indirectly set up the infrastructure for sites such as Dat Piff and the blurred lines between mixtape and album that have aided hundreds of rappers, Wayne was just trying to push himself as an artist and change the definition of what a southern MC could be. Just as he was pushing the boundaries of mixtapes, Wayne was coming of age as a commercial superstar on the Carter 3. Yet, just as Weezy was carving out the scope of his influence, the issues that had plagued his career were just gaining steam. For starters, we have both the success and the tears that came from the Cash Money scenario. Wayne's unwavering commitment to his quote-unquote daddy, Birdman, resulted in Weezy setting up his own subsidiary, Young Money Entertainment, in 2005. And while it seemed like a landmark step, it turned out that it only gave him the illusion of control. Formed of megastars in waiting such as Drake, Nicki Minaj, and to a lesser extent Tyga, alongside a host of signees, it only took 5 years and the release of 2009's We Are Young Money for Wayne to reach a point where his own crew's future looked more promising than Birdman's. As far as anyone was concerned, this wasn't anything to worry about. After all, Wayne had this to say when asked about his label situation in 2012.
We signed a deal and I don't remember when, and I've been with Cash Money ever since. So if you're looking for integrity, I am the definition. If you're looking for a person that's gonna stay down, I am the definition. If you're looking for loyalty, I am just that. And trust me, there's been a lot of ups and downs, a lot of downs, all the way down if you wanna know. I wrote it out with my team and I'm gonna ride it out with my team.
Team with the news that he just signed a new 4-album deal with Baby, their bonds seem as unbreakable as ever on the surface. But if you were to peer below, just as Juvenile had done many years earlier, you could see that history was repeating itself. Except this time, the battle for freedom would be much more taxing on the artist. Commenting on Wayne's situation in November of that same year, Juvenile basically prophesized the tug-of-war that Weezy and Birdman will wage in the years to come. If you notice the Young Money Cash Money imprint, some of the stuff that need to say Young Money don't say Young Money, he told Complex. I know Baby and I know Ronald. They ain't giving up power of their company. They don't care how big Wayne gets. They not giving up. If I didn't get it, he ain't getting it. Years on, Jay-Z revealed that he was prevented from signing Wayne after being transparent and uncovered Baby's shadier business practices along the way.
I felt it was only right to call him. You know, I called him out of respect, like, yo, I was talking to Wayne, just letting you know, boom, boom, boom. So after that, I think we received a letter at our office for like torturous interference. I could have signed him and then told him after.
Initially kicked off with a 2014 tweet that saw Wayne label himself as a music prisoner in Cash Money's clutches, his anger about being shortchanged sparked a lengthy lawsuit between Universal, Cash Money, and Weezy that result in a rumored 8-figure settlement as well as a destruction of their father-son dynamic. But most importantly, it essentially put a stronghold on Wayne's career, sparked the 2016 threat of retirement, and resulted in the Carter 5 being held up for an agonizing 4 years. Exploited due to both the age in which he rose to fame and the loyalty that he felt, Cash Money weaponized the family ties to the tune of millions of dollars that were lost for Tunchi. And as he told Elliott Wilson after the dust had settled, Weezy F didn't just want to get what he was due in terms of wealth, but aimed to finally take his destiny into his own hands.
Now I went through a 7-year collapse and I'm still here. When you feel like you gotta do what you gotta do, it's not a job at all. Yeah, you think about it after it's done. And I didn't approach it like, man, I gotta do 10 more things today, man. This is too difficult. No, I have to do these things to get back to where I need to be. Yeah.
It's fair to say that Wayne's post-2009 career has been so littered with issues and distractions that one of his finest projects to the past decade, the Free Weezy album, wasn't available on streaming services other than Tidal until 5 years after its initial release. But when discussing Wayne's journey, it's not uncommon to hear people portray Baby as some sort of heartless mob boss that was a singular cause of all frustrations. But when you really dive into how Wayne has conducted himself, there's no denying that he's done substantial harm to his own well-being and public profile too. Just to clarify, Wayne is an immensely smart and gifted human being. That said, he's not without his vices or flaws, in which, in the case of the former, seem to contradict his historic work ethic. From experiencing seizures and developing epilepsy, to being arrested with guns and cocaine on a private plane, as late as December of 2019, Wayne's progression from child star to superstar has meant that he's developed his own coping mechanisms, namely, an extensive drug habit and a deep-seated love of lean. Concerned that he'd follow in the footsteps of his UGK idol and Pimp C, his position hasn't changed all that much from what it was in the previous decade and countless hospitalizations later.
Everybody want me to stop and all this and all that, but it ain't that easy, bro. It ain't that easy. It felt like death in your stomach when you stop doing it. You gotta learn how to stay, you gotta go through detox.
When it comes to his drug use, the concern goes beyond any effect fans and critics believe that his usage may have on his music and really boils down to his health. But in the case of his continued exposure to his lavish lifestyle, it's led some supporters to grow increasingly annoyed as he becomes estranged from the reality that the rest of the world lives in.
What's your thought on Black Lives Matter?
It just sounds weird. It's not a name, it's not whatever. I am a young, black, rich. If that don't let you know that America understands Black matter these days, I don't know what it is.
After experiencing fame from his early teens, Wayne is in a unique position where his outlook on the world greatly differs from most of his fan base. Claiming to have never seen racism, it's why fans and his girlfriend let out a collective groan when he threw in his support behind Donald Trump. Bizarre as it may seem, for someone who's been in a creative bubble for most of his life, his disregard for public opinion is as natural as transitioning out of rap to make Rebirth or going on an ill-fated tour with Blink-182. But for Yeezy fans, everything from the Cash Money battle to his politics and self-destructive behavior could threaten to cloud some of what he's achieved. However, the counterpoint to that would be this. Without all his less admirable traits and moments where his actions have led him astray, will Lil Wayne still be Lil Wayne? After all, you only need to look at his earliest promo appearances for the Carter to see that his outlook on life has always been distinctly his own and almost foretold where he's at now.
Money changed everybody. I mean, it depends on how you change. In my situation, money made me a man. Tragedy changed everybody, and it depends on what it make you. Tragedy can make you crazy. Tragedy made me a man. You know what I'm saying? I lost my father at 14. I became my mother's husband. So all that affects, so no, I'm not the same person than when I first started.
Filled with wisdom, but no less unconventional, this quote defines Weezy as a walking contradiction. He isn't a role model, nor has his career been free of blemishes and misdirects that would have destroyed a lesser artist. But in the same breath, he is everything that an MC should aspire to be. Although the first week sales between 2020's funeral and the Carter 5 exhibited a steep decline of around 300,000 units, Tunechi has still came out on top in 2020. And considering that he's walked back any ideas about retirement, he won't be retreating to the sidelines as a label boss or occasional feature anytime soon. Even with the times where his fate seemed uncertain, Lil Wayne's career, particularly in the mid-2000s, will ensure that he goes down as one of the all-time Hall of Famers. With his position solidified, there's really no reason for him to continue. The only reason to keep going is for the love of it. And who are any of us to tell someone who's lived and breathed hip-hop when it's his time to fall back, when his mind is telling them to continue to strive for greatness?
When you're looking around your living room and you see Grammys and you see plaques on the wall and you see the house you're in, you look at your living room, you're looking at your driveway and you look, you know what I mean, you know your kids are straight, you know everybody's fine, you know what you're having, the savings or whatever, you know what you're working with. Yeah. And you ask yourself, have you achieved everything that have you accomplished everything? Should you even still be wanting this? Or should you want something else? And should you chase something else? And the answer was, you should want more.
This has been a HipHopMadness original. Make sure to stay tuned and stay up to date with everything we got going on by hitting that subscribe button and notification bell. Oh, and don't forget to follow us on Instagram at HipHopMadness and join the movement.